Thank you so much for staying with us. We come live to you from Kampala Road here on Toban Center, where we're based, broadcasting live. You're watching us, to wherever you're watching us from. My name is Edirisa Muwonge, and it's time for the day break. Like I promised that when I come back, I'll be back with a guest. He's a leader, and it's from the NRM because he's Deputy RCC, Sheikh Kamujisha Kasim. Good to see you, Sheikh. Salam alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good to see you.
Pleasure is mine. Good morning to you and good morning to the viewers.
How have you been? You've been so busy. I've been seeing your status that you've been putting on WhatsApp. You've been busy in the PLOU, accompanying with, the first son and now CDF. But of course, he was so busy in those activities before he became the CDF. Those days when he was still, I don't know, the chairman, PLOU or president?
Yes.
Yes, you are so busy. You are among those who are so close to him.
Alhamdulillah.
For starters, now that I'm privileged to have one of the leaders of that organization, up to now I'm failing to describe it. Though he gave us its description, that it's non-partisan, it's non-denominational, but I'm failing to refer to it as, a political party, whatever. You're going to be helping us understand that. So for starters who are watching you, what is it all about? And you also being, an RCC, where we expect you to be busy with the NRM activities, why would you allocate so much of your time, to another organization, which some members of the NRM looked at it as, acting contrary to what they believe in?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala man la nabiyya ba'dahu Muhammad ibn Abdullah salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. To everyone watching us this morning, good morning. People of Nakawa, people of Chigezo, where I hail from. Allow me to use this singular honor to do two things. One, to appreciate B-Team for inviting me this morning. It's been a while.
Yes.
I think we last met some time back, last year. So thank you for hosting me this morning. And for the topical discussion, one, I want to make two things clear. One, I'm not a leader in PLU, but I'm a well-wisher of PLU. That's number one. And number two, PLU has had various activities which were scattered. And before it became PLU, it was MK movement. It had activities in Sebei, activities in same activities in Bugishu, then Busoga, then Chigezi, where I was the brainchild for the activity in Chigezi, then Masaka. And it's true, I have been quite closer, and I'm still closer, because as a Deputy RCC in Nakawa Division, there is no law which bars me from participating in civil organizational activities. In any case, on our daily routines, actually we are the ones who vet and recommend NGOs in our areas as RDCs and DSOs. We recommend NGOs and organizations for approval. But also we ask for documentation of some of these organizations. And PLU, for that matter, is headquartered in my area, in Naguru, Sadla Lane. That is Nakawa Division, where I happen to be the Deputy RCC. So it is really incumbent on me to understand what such an organization is doing. But besides all that,
nevertheless, you've been following them, even with an interview.
Besides that, I'm an ardent admirer of General Moses Kainerugaba, at the same time a believer in his philosophy of patriotism and Uganda for each one of us. How? Because we owe Uganda a debt. Each one of us owes Uganda a debt. Because whereas people think patriotism is inborn, which is true, but you see when my child is born, he doesn't know he's a Ugandan. It is me who tells him that you're Ugandan as he grows. And therefore it becomes a duty on me to explain to him what that Uganda I'm telling him that he is, what it means and what it is and what are his obligations and duties to that nation Uganda. And so, because General MK believes in such an approach to his country, some of me has become really his ardent supporter and follower, and I have no regrets for that.
So you're basically supporting him because of that idea, patriotism.
Because of an idea. You see,
nothing else.
Me and you, if they called the intellectual class, we are part of it in our country. So we no longer really move by emotions. We have to move by reasons. And one of the reasons is, you see, as a son of a president, he would have been on a yacht.
Yes.
In Lake Victoria or Indian Ocean, or he would have been in Las Vegas.
But he has offered himself to fight.
He offered himself 26 years ago to put on a gumboot. You know, have you ever put on a gumboot? Do you know how hot it is? But the man said, I don't want to
make that choice.
Yes, I don't want to make, to be in sneakers, to be in jeans, balance, and all that. He put on a gumboot, boots, and he went for military training. Advanced it in Sandhurst. That is one of the best military academies in the world.
How about those who have...
So he comes out to be really, to have offered himself.
How about those who have interpreted this as a political organization, arguing that this is a man who's eyeing the highest office in the land, and here is his father, that is the incumbent, hoping him, you know, to ascend into that office by succeeding him?
You see, Idris, in 1994, the Kowadera cream of Uganda was chosen to represent all constituencies in Uganda to the CA, Constituent Assembly session. And they came up with a very good document, which is the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. And this constitution gives every citizen, every Ugandan, a right of self-expression and an entitlement to your own opinion. So the opinion people have on him are their own opinions. And so if their opinion is PRU is a political party, they are wrong, because under the Political Parties and Organizations Act 2000, I think, for the Amendment 2020, PRU is not registered with the Electoral Commission as a political party. So why are they arguing like that?
Maybe why are they arguing like that?
Then secondly, PRU has, they have said they are a civic organization, non-partisan. And the Constitution of Uganda, by the national objectives and principles of state policy, I think democratic principle number 8, it says that we shall judge every organization by what it states as its objectives. So if they have told you they are non-partisan, they are non-denominational, they are patriotic, and they are looking at conserving environment, why do you then give them other objectives not stated?
Why do they think that this could be a political party? They are coming from a background of some of the tweets the first son,
yes,
now the CDF has been making. He's been making partisan comments, you remember. In fact, he has even, you know, hinted on leading this country, if you've been following him, which I'm very sure you've been following. And also his followers, those who are close, you know, those who are the leaders in this, organization, the likes of now a minister, state minister, Honorable Balam, yes, they have always argued that he is our next president.
Yes.
You still want to rule out those?
You see, all those others are opinions. If Balam says MK is his next president, that is his opinion as Balam. Number two, if Kamujisha says Idrissa is my next president, it remains an opinion until it becomes a fact. So here, I think we have to differentiate between opinions and facts. Number two, if I've got a Twitter handle, there is no assurance that every tweet which comes out is being tweeted by me. I could be having a handler.
If you don't, okay.
Yes, I could be having a handler.
Which handler is acting on your behalf?
You see, when I'm having a handler, there are things he writes.
With your consent?
There are things he writes individually, and there are things he writes on principle. So when to differentiate between the principled and non-principled tweets remains a question of when it is asked legally. So we don't have to rush to conclusions, but I would not see any problem if MK offered himself for the presidency of the Republic of Uganda after General Museveni. After General Museveni. Count that one. Why? Because constitutionally, General Muhoozi is above 18 years. He has got minimum qualifications of senior 6. And I even ask myself, why are we still saying senior 6 is a pre-qualification to contest for parliament or presidency? Yet you have got 60 universities in the country that have really produced people who have got degrees. We should not even be discussing that. 3, he's a Ugandan. And number 4, he's sane. His brain is sane.
On that third one, I've had some members of the opposition questioning his fully being Ugandan, given the fact that he wasn't born in the country.
Propaganda. Forget that propaganda.
He was born in Tanzania.
You know when people have run short of ideas, they will come up with every sort of arguments. But the fact remains that if MK is out of uniform, because the only limitation he has now that could bar him from contesting for any elective position, including Chairman LC1, is being in uniform. Because the UPDF Act and the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda bars any military officer in uniform from participating in partisan politics, offering himself for a position that is elective and on a political party or independent.
Okay.
So if he is out of real uniform of UPDF, I doubt whether there is any other bar on him not to contest for the highest office in the land.
Okay. Let's now talk about your office, not yours per se.
And actually, you're reminding me that I should wholeheartedly once again congratulate General Muhoozi Kainerugaba for being appointed CDF. Because CDF today, after the military, the UPDF establishment has got the powers, delegated powers of Commander-in-Chief to organize, command, control, and administration of the UPDF. And to me, it was a big strike for General Muhoozi Kainerugaba. However, with the qualifications that he has got, the experience he has amassed, the battlefield he has been on, it was long overdue.
Well, now that you spoke about that, before he came in as the CDF, that's when those changes you mentioned were made. Previously, the CDF didn't have all those powers that you mentioned.
Yes.
They all lied in the CIC, Commander-in-Chief. But after he descended some of those powers, the office of the CDF, shortly after that, we see his son, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, coming.
Yes.
Was this something that was planned?
You see,
was it something that was planned basically for him or for him?
You see, Idris, there are things we have to master on our fingertips. One, for those who are not in the know, the UPDF establishment has been ongoing for the last, actually 7-8 years. It began in 2016, championed by the late General Kutesa, Pecos Kutesa. He was the one heading that committee of writing how to organize the UPDF. Because you see, we have got Vision 2040 as a country. And this Vision 2040 of Uganda has been targeting every other sector of the economy and the state, excluding UPDF. Now, when you have got a state which is looking at being, for example, being an IT-driven economy in 2040, then you need an army which also fits in the IT environment of 2040. But here you have got an army, for example, which is recruiting P7 rivers, senior 4 rivers. But you want them to use Sukhoi Kinzaru missile in 2040. Will they fit the standard? So you have to look at how to reorganize in terms of command, control, and administration. So that you have got an army which fits in the 2040 vision as your economy, as your IT, as your agriculture, and all that. So 2016, a journey began of looking how to organize this army, but through a document. Now, 2021 document is completed and it is launched. Actually, it is completed and it is handed over. But because there was COVID, then it was impossible to begin those organizations. Now, 2024, in Feb or March, the president signs it. It signs it and it becomes now the benchmark of what UPDF will be doing for the next 20 years, for example. Now, you now need administration which can push it. Now, by coincidence, I can say...
And you have to look out for the best.
By coincidence, not the best, but you have to appoint a CDF who has got qualifications.
Yes, and that's what I mean. You have, are you looking out for the best now?
Yes, for the best, because by all standards, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba has studied all military doctrines of the world. He trains in Sandhurst, that is the UK doctrine. He trains in Egypt, that's the Egyptian doctrine. He trains in South Korea, that's the Korean doctrine, that's the Far East doctrine. He trains in the US, that is the US doctrine at senior staff and command. Then strategic studies in South Africa, that's the South African doctrine. So he has mastered all doctrines of the military in the world. So you need someone who can now reorganize the UPDF very quickly to fit in the world strategic view militarily, but also fit in the vision 2040 of the economy of Uganda, which we are looking at.
So in a nutshell,
in a nutshell,
he was appointed.
Ask yourself a question. Yes, competence and expertise. Ask yourself a question. In the last 20 years, how many CDFs have we had?
Quite many.
Quite, you can say 4, 5.
Those are many, if you compare.
That means in the next 5 years, you'll have a new CDF. But if we go by what has been happening, it means in every 5 years, you have a new CDF, because you had Muhoozi recently, David Muhoozi, who's now a minister, then you have Mbadi. So automatically, General MK is here for a few days to go. So now, if someone is arguing that Muzei has brought him because he has given over powers of the commander-in-chief, that person is arguing that MK will be there as a CDF forever.
I know so many Ugandans, including myself, they are wondering, where would he go if he left the CDF office this time around? Is he also going to become state minister like his predecessors?
You see, me and you are Muslims. And I want to remind you something. Huwa alimul ghaibi wa shahada.
Wa Rahman Rahim.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's the knower of what is hidden, and He's the one who gives witness to that. And He's the forgiver. So why should we now enter into where will He be after? That is
so we leave the unseen and the future to Him.
To God. But what I know is,
yes,
He has got a bright future within the military of Uganda and the leadership of Uganda as a whole.
In fact, I know so many soldiers who are even friends, and they were so much excited when they heard that he was appointed. They went on to explain to me certain things that I want to divulge into. However, I want to take you now.
Actually, to that point,
yes,
if there is someone who is admired by comrades and colleagues, it's General MK. Because whereas he is what he is by birth, but he's a very humble man, very listening, and wishes well, actually develops careers of other military colleagues around him. And that is exceptional for people who are born quite lucky. I
was surprised. They were so happy. They reminded me of the things he did when he was commander of forces. Yes. I want to ask you,
please,
about something that has raised the dust in Uganda once again. It's every time something, it comes up that is going to be taking taxpayers' money, we get so much concerned. And that is now the appointment of assistant RDCs.
Oh, our office.
Your office. Ugandans are wondering, you're already in place. You deputy RCCs. RDCs are there. Was this really necessary to create another office of RCCs, of assistant RDCs? Was it really necessary? Let me leave it at that.
Ugandans are we are really we are concerned about our country, but sometimes we are concerned about our country without a lot of knowledge on some things. And me, I'm very conscious about some verses of the Quran. Allah says in Surah Al-Isra, وَلَا تَقْفُ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٍ. Never stand on what you are not sure of in terms of knowledge. And why I'm giving out that verse is, in 2017, the same Parliament of Uganda, the Parliament of Uganda passed a budget. And that budget increased the salaries of RDCs to 2 point something, RDCs and deputies. But that very Parliament, in that very budget, approved a salary of an assistant RDC. Therefore, it created the position of the assistant RDC in 2017, allocated.
2017.
2017.
So is it hypocrisy when some members of parliament come out to show that they are surprised that RSCs are now a standard design?
You see, the people who are making a lot of noise on the floor of parliament, in my own view and understanding, they are newcomers on the floor of parliament. And some of them could be excited by the positions they are holding in parliament. But what I want to put clear is that the position of assistant RDC was created in 2017, and there was a budget allocation for that in 2017. What has been delayed was the actualization of having the individual in office. So the dust you are seeing on the floor of parliament and all that is, these are emotions in debates, or debates based on emotions, not based on what is factual on the ground. And number two, some members of parliament are not really questioning the position, especially those who were there. When you look at for example, the Honorable Theodore Sechikubo, his submission on the floor of parliament, he was not questioning the position, but he was questioning the
criteria that is used?
The two things, the criteria, but also the caliber and integrity of the people appointed. And of course,
I think that makes a lot of sense to you.
It makes a lot of sense because one, you are representing the head of state. Someone is going to represent the head of state. But also, someone is going to deal with matters which could be targeted on integrity. Because if you are going to tackle corruption, then you should be corrupt-free.
You must have the moral authority.
You must have the moral authority really to speak, and people say, Idris has spoken. So to me, I think the debate at the floor of parliament could expand in terms of who qualifies to do what, because the qualifications for the RDCs are there. When you look at section 7 and 71 of the Kampala Capital City Authority Act, which brings our office as a deputy RCC and RCC Kampala, it talks about the qualifications to be those of a member of parliament. So if the assistant RDC,
so they were talking about senior 6?
Yes, senior 6, or its equivalent. You know, the law is tricky. It is senior 6 or its equivalent. The equivalent of senior 6 could be a certificate after P7, then you are upgraded to a diploma after, which becomes equivalent of senior 4. Then you are upgraded to, for example, a PGD, which becomes equivalent of the senior 6. So equivalence it now goes back to UNEP to equate the qualifications. But the point is, someone should be qualified to be a member of parliament. And I think the whole reasoning is, an RDC and RCC, the concern of the public of Uganda, Article 203, their cardinal roles are two. And one of them is to monitor government services in the districts. And you know, these services are funded by taxpayers' money, allocated by parliament. So the argument would be that what a parliamentarian has allocated should be able to be received by, by another DC who has got an equal measure of literacy. You know, measure of literacy is English, understanding very well the concepts with the member of parliament. So they move on the same pace. That even when this MP comes to supervise, he doesn't ask technical questions, which the other DC cannot understand. So the debate should really be on the qualification. But also, if there are some scattered cases of integrity lapses, then we cannot stop them from really looking at that one. But for the position, I'm very, very sure, and I'm looking into the camera to make it clear to Ugandans that that position was created in 2017, and there was allocation to that. And so people who are making noise on the floor of parliament on creation of the position now are either hypocritic or are not informed of what is on the Hansard of Parliament, and yet they're members of Parliament. So they should not mislead the country.
Let us scrutinize the 3 roles the minister mentioned. Your obligations as assistant RDCs.
Yes.
Mobilization. What is mobilization in this case?
I will not discuss mobilization because in my role as me as an RDC of Nakawa, my roles are 2, which are principal. Then the third one, actually my role is to supervise and monitor implementation of government services and programs in my area. That's cardinal number 1. Cardinal number 2 of another RDC is to, for example, coordinate the security agencies in the area to ensure stability and security of the area. Number 3, that role is ambiguous. The third role,
which is
that another RDC or another CC shall execute any other duty assigned to him by the president or parliament. So I want to discuss mobilization because the president might assign it to me, but he has not assigned it to me as of now. So I want to discuss that. But for the assistant RDC, if he's here, it is his role as per the appointment letter.
We've seen
which he must do.
RDCs and RCCs very, very instrumental and active during campaigns. In fact, members of the opposition have always cried foul. Said, look here, the RDC or RCC has deployed against me. I'm being harassed and what? Okay. For starters, what role do you play during campaigns or during any political activities?
You see, as I said,
do you really have to be, you know, so partisan?
You see, Edirisa, let no one lie to you that the office of the RDC is non-partisan. No.
It is partisan.
The office,
because you are presenting a president. Who is the politician?
I'm appointed by the president.
Who is the politician?
Who is the head of state?
And who is the politician?
The head of government, but also the chairman of a party.
Yes, also a politician, because I'm looking at, for example, if there was a by-election,
yes.
Because you normally see you people so active, especially during the by-elections. What role, for example, what roles are yours assigned during such a time?
You see, cardinally, I should
protect the candidates from the ruling government?
Cardinally, I should ensure that there is security, there is peace, stability in the electioneering and campaigning period in my jurisdiction as an RCC.
Peace and security.
So in my area...
For all?
Of course. And even the state of Uganda has done it, even at presidential candidature level, it has deployed Uganda police force on every candidate. And that is why, for example, our brother Chaguranya, Honorable Robert Sentam, had a lead car, not one, there were 2, in front and behind, in his presidential campaign. Why? Because it is the role of the state to ensure that all candidates are given security. Now, in our area, it cascades down in our areas. It comes down in our areas that as another CC, as another DC, you must ensure that there is peace, stability and security in your area during the campaign period. Now that makes another DC very, very vibrant because he wants to ensure that the area is stable and secure. But number 2, there is no single day when the president will assign another DC to go and do some activity of mobilization. And he refuses because constitutionally, the president, who is the chairman of the party, shall assign another DC any other duty. So what makes you think you're not assigning another DC a role of mobilization? So you see the roles of Uganda are very, very wide, but we want to narrow it to our own opinion. So if I'm against the ruling government, I will say another DC should not participate in politics because they're not supposed to. But you know, I've got a window here which says the president or parliament shall assign me any other responsibility. So why do you want to curtail it from being mobilization? So when you see another DC mobilizing, when you see another DC mobilizing for a government program, it is an assignment provided for by the Constitution, but being given to him by a superior power, which is either the presidency or the parliament. So there should not be cause for alarm. You know, mobilization, people are construing it to political mobilization. But if you have got PDM program, how do you ensure people come?
You're always visible during, you know, political events. That's why... It's
true. Do other DCs vote? Do they cast a vote?
They don't, but the roads on,
No,
boots on
no.
ground.
Are they voters? So if they are voters, then every voter is a mobilizer.
Okay. Are you also subjected to vetting when you're appointed? You as RDCs or assistant RDCs? Are you vetted?
You see, I wouldn't want now to supersede my mandate.
Okay.
But without doubt, the state cannot simply appoint. It must know who ADDC is.
Because the minister for presidents was summoned to parliament. In fact, she's most likely to make appearance this week to explain the same criteria that, you know, they follow. The speaker summoned her to come to the floor of parliament and explain. That's why I'm being curious.
Yes.
That when, like we see, some ministers have been dropped. They're appointed by the government, by the president, but when they reach, you know, the vetting committees,
Yes.
they're dropped after establishing that they don't meet, you know, the standards that, of a minister. For RCCs, you said you're not comfortable answering that?
I wouldn't want to preempt what my line minister will say in parliament, because I wouldn't want to contradict my boss. But what I believe in is there are always background checks. What I might not know is what are the parameters. But there is always a background check, because really you want someone who can really represent the presidency. So I wouldn't want to dig deep into parameters. But what I believe in is everybody appointed is always competent for that job. But as you know, people have got different capabilities, and people have got different lifestyles. And so people could be hindered by different capabilities and lifestyles, but on a larger scale, on a larger note, all the appointees are always, in my view, capable, apart from a few scattered elements of...
We've seen some of your colleagues who have aired, and you've seen those videos being shared, you know, where one RCC is caught on camera, you know, lashing someone.
Well, Idrissa, you know, to err is human. To err is human. And so I wouldn't want to take a harsh stand on colleagues, because I myself could err today or tomorrow. So I want to be moderate, but also to remind ourselves that for us we are to make tauba. We are to ask for forgiveness every other day. Why? Because we are human, we make mistakes. Likewise, an RDC can make a mistake because he's human. An RDC can make a mistake because the matter before him is complicated. An RDC can make a mistake because of a seriousness. But also an RDC can make mistakes because of arrogance. And so
an RDC and RCs can make a mistake out of excitement, also out of pressure to please the appointing authority. Because we've seen some of these mistakes, they have been made actually to please, you know, especially during those campaigns.
But that's why I said...
You see an RDC being so harsh on the opposition, a candidate, because he wants to please someone out there.
And I said being overzealous, you want to exceed your limit. But you see, the appointing authority has given you an office, which office has got description of roles. So you don't please the appointing authority by going into excesses. Because there is no single day when the president, who is the appointing authority, will say, Kamugisha Kasim, RCC Nakawa, go and whip Idris. No. There is no single day when the president will say, Kamugisha Kasim, you go and drive badly on the road because you're representing the president. So I would please the president as the appointing authority if I remain within my constitutional mandate.
Okay.
Monitor the implementation of government programs in my area, coordinate security in my area, and do any other responsibility or duty as he delegates it to me. If I do that within the law, then there's no doubt the appointing authority will be satisfied with the reports from many sources and from my desk, and he can renew my mandate. Okay. But to go and whip and beat, and you say you are pleasing the appointing authority.
In fact, you are tainting his image.
I think that is, that's beyond what is expected of you. And in any case, you are just tainting the state and the office of the president.
Before we take a break, I also want to look at the other roles that they mentioned.
Yeah.
There is also teaching patriotism and also fighting corruption. Fighting corruption, really. How do you do this? Because it's one of the roles I saw that is being assigned to these assistant RDs. I don't know that is also in your office?
Yeah, of course, they will be sitting in our office. We shall be sharing office.
How do you fight corruption? A vice that this government has failed to combat for the last, all the time they've been in power. In fact, even when they're still in the bush, on the 10-point program, they had it around somewhere, number 2, number 3. But up to now, if you're talking to President Museveni, he's going to admit to you that, look, I've really failed at this. And he doesn't only admit that he has failed, but you can also, that he's also frustrating the efforts that have been put in place by some of the people he has appointed himself to combat this problem. Take, for example, the lifestyle audit, an idea that the IGG came up with. Everybody thought that this was a good idea and corruption would be, done away with. But the president was the first person to come and, watered down this and said, no, this, he wanted to give his justification. So, you as RDCs, do you really have the capacity to fight corruption? And how do you do that?
You see, first and foremost, I want us to correct ourselves, because viewers are following us.
Yes.
The president has not failed to fight corruption, because the executive, which is headed by the president, has put in place mechanisms to fight corruption. The IGG was not appointed by herself. She was appointed by the executive, and that's the president. And therefore, her office is there because the president has appointed. It is there because the constitution has provided. Number 2, the president has put in place...
When the same IGG, who was assigned the role?
I will come to that. The president has put in place State House Anti-Corruption Unit. And you have seen on many occasions how they are...
It's indeed functional.
How they are eating into the of course, people will keep saying you are eating into smaller fish. We want to see you eat the big fish. Time will come when the big fish will be caught in the net. Now, and of course, you have got the anti-corruption court, whose judge is appointed by the president. So it is really unfair when someone says the president has failed.
But he has admitted, not failing, but he has admitted that the problem is still here. If you've been fighting a problem for the last close to 40 years.
You know we have got immunization.
And how are we supposed to interpret it when we see you being the same person who's frustrating the efforts? We believe that maybe these would be the ones that would help us to eradicate this problem.
You see, we have got immunization, but we still have tuberculosis. we have got the vaccines of many diseases, but we still have those diseases. So the fact that you have got a mechanism in place does not say that what that mechanism fights is no longer there. Because if what it fights is no longer there, then you don't need the mechanism. And 2, population of Uganda is not stagnant. My son today, who is either 2 or 3, will be a man tomorrow. So he will still grow up and be corrupt. He has to be there. Well, the point I'm making here is corruption lives with a human being. So it is a continuous struggle. Then the key point which you are making about president at the meeting, I don't agree with it. Because the president has not said, I am tired, I can't fight corruption. But he has persistently said there is corruption in society. You see, the message is telling us is, can we all make it our daily meal of talking about corruption? And recently I saw him telling these religious leaders that, thank you very much, you have tackled the corruption. And I was happy with it because of 2 things. One, the corrupt, you'll find them in the front seats of the church. And you'll find them on the front seats of the mats in Duaz. And you'll see religious leaders giving them a very, very warm reception. The president was saying, since you have talked about it, can you even point fingers? Then when you point fingers, then the state comes into act. Because the state acts on evidence. What people want in Uganda is to see the president, for example, grabbing Idris Oka Mujisha by the collar.
Oh.
Yes, that's what...
Do I have that mandate?
You see,
Even when those who have the mandate. Let me tell you,
no,
Mr. Rasisi,
what people are looking at is that they want to see the president himself.
Yes, and let me tell you why
jumping
Ugandans,
on the neck.
let me tell you why Ugandans are questioning the intentions or the nia of the president when it comes to fighting corruption. He is the #1 protector of the corrupt. Let me explain this. Do you remember the Karamoja Mabati saga? Imagine a whole minister swindling relief items meant for the impoverished Karamojong.
Yes.
The same person, you know, you retain him as a minister. And yet remember the president promised that I'm going to take political action against them. Everybody was waiting for that moment when he makes a reshuffle.
Do you live in Uganda?
Yeah.
Who was the minister of Karamoja then? It was Chututu.
But we thought that he would drop all those who were involved in
you
this
see,
saga.
Things are not by opinions or thoughts. Things are by evidence. Maybe when the DP, because DPP took on these people.
By evidence, thank you.
When DPP
there is a
came
minister
in,
who used the same iron sheets to thatch his goat shed.
see, for me, I don't want to.
You didn't see
move.
those iron sheets?
I want to remain clear that everybody who was implicated and there was clear evidence was dropped. Number two, the question would be, if this minister used iron sheet for that entity, for example, how did he get them? Maybe he got them from this minister, who was the right minister who was sacked.
Mr. Rasisi, you're also a lawyer, right?
And yes.
You're a lawyer.
And if
what does the law say? If I purchase something that was stolen from somebody,
in the know.
Don't I become a suspect?
In the know. By knowledge. If I'm informed that this thing was stolen and I purchased it from you, I'm an accomplice. I should give evidence, actually.
Still, what does the law say? Ignorance of the law?
No.
It's no defense. That's what the law says.
See,
ignorance of the law is the. And by the way, these ashes you're talking about, they were branded. Office of the Prime Minister. Office of the Prime Minister. You can't tell me that the minister acted out of ignorance
the point you are
to
making,
use these iron sheets.
The point you are
for his
making
personal
is
gain.
that people who were involved were not sacked. And me, I'm saying the minister for Karamoja and the state minister were all sacked. So the president has put his foot on the stamp against corruption. And maybe, you see, when you are given presidency, and you know, Idris, I'm very lucky that I'm having a Sheikh Idris here. When Allah gives you leadership, He gives you two things. Basta. Fil ilm wal jism. When God gives leadership, He gives you extra energy in the body and in the brain. Now, at the strategic leadership of the country, any country in the world, a leader does not act by emotions. You act by reason, by wisdom, and by process. Now, this process must lead you to the right result, in your own opinion as a leader. Now, the decision which was taken by the president to sack these two ministers was informed by reason and by fact. So where there was no clear facts to sack other ministers, they were retained. But moving forward, what if there is evidence in the future? They can't survive. So the president has put his stamp on the fight against corruption. Number two, you know, there is the North Korea style, the Chinese style of hanging. You know, hanging the corrupt. I was seeing the mayor of Beijing some time back being hanged because of corruption. And of course, North Korea, they were being shot with bazooka. You see, Uganda, you have got what we call the human rights. Constitutionally, but also have got very many organizations which are campaigning for human rights.
No, the laws against corruption of this country are enough. If they were all implemented, this vice maybe would have also been done away. In fact, some Ugandans are even questioning the political will. That's what I mentioned earlier. If the same effort the president puts in while speaking against corruption is the same effort he was putting in fighting it. Of course, fighting it also means shunning those who are corrupt. Do you remember when the former IGG, Mulyagonja, made this statement? And she mentioned and said that, look, every time I'm chasing the corrupt, I receive this phone call, which is asking me to back off. Back off. So these corrupt people are protected by very powerful men and women in this government.
Did she mention any?
She didn't have to.
Why?
If she mentioned, maybe her life wouldn't be the same.
I can come here and make running statements because I want to escape responsibility and liability. because I know after making my statement, I've got immunity as what I am in office. So for me, I don't want to trust the statement of Justice Irene Muria Gonja that there was a phone call, because she didn't give evidence of the phone call and what she was talking about. So I want to treat it as an scapegoat statement. What I want to put clear is there is a political will to fight corruption. Why? Because you see, the political arms of the government are two: the executive and the parliament. So when executive appoints and establishes institutions fighting corruption, and parliament approves those institutions and they are given budgets to facilitate, to work, then for me that's what I call political will. What people want, which is impossible, is to see the president actually grabbing Kamugisha or Edrisa by neck and saying, you have eaten money, you are corrupt, I'm killing you. But you see, there are processes that lead to that. The DPP, you have got the DPP and her entire office, which must be involved to investigate, come up with evidence, and punish Kamugisha for corruption. When that one has not been done, the president does not have the mandate to come out and say, Idrissa, you are corrupt. Then he will be overstepping his mandate. Is the president afraid of some people? Is he afraid to go up, against certain people, especially those who are corrupt? Those who have argued that, in fact, this is the argument, that if President Museveni was arresting the corrupt, if he was so hard on them, he wouldn't have lived this long in power. Corruption has made him thrive this long. How true is that argument? You see, I said Uganda is a very, very good country because everybody has got entitlement to his opinion. But also, everybody can set an agenda based on his own world view of things. You see, when you say president should arrest people, then you are stripping the police and other agencies their powers. Because powers to arrest are invested in the police and other agencies legally. So why do you want the president now to usurp? Also under the command of the president. Why do you want the president to usurp the powers of the police? The powers to investigate, the powers to prosecute, still lies in the jealous justice law order sector. So the president has put in place the mechanisms, the systems. Why don't we blame the mechanisms and systems that you have not prosecuted, you have not done your role very correctly to avail the president with enough evidence and reason to carry out his mandate of sacking? Well, the president's role is to appoint and disappoint. So if I'm a minister and I have really taken money, the police should arrest me as a suspect, investigate me thoroughly without witch hunt, then DPP prosecutes me. If I'm found guilty and I'm thrown to Ruzira, I cannot hold that office. No, I wouldn't exhaust the list of government officials who have been caught in corruption scandals. Our President Museveni has kept them. You know that, Mr. Rasisi. There are so many. Let me guide you. Who have even been produced before courts of law. They have been prosecuted, and others have actually been, found guilty. You see, there are two things. Nevertheless, the president has been brought in the courts of laws as a suspect. Because the laws of Uganda say everybody can be a suspect, can be arrested, can be produced to court, but three things must happen. He must plead or be proved guilty to be convicted and sentenced. So you could have seen people being arrested. Do you remember the Gavi funds, Mr. Rasisi, as we take a break? I remember. Who was involved in that? I remember, but I don't remember how it ended. Was it the conviction and the sentence? There was no enough evidence. Funds? You see, the issue here I'm discussing for me is what is the outcome of the investigation? If the outcome of the investigation is negative, then you can't have a conviction and a sentence. Let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to be discussing something now in the area of jurisdiction, and that is the Luzira. Is it going? Is it staying? Is it a good idea, first of all? Let's take a break, our dear viewers. When I come back, we're going to be discussing that. I'm still here with Mr. Kamugisha Kassim. He's the Deputy RCC for Nakawa. Don't go away. The day break continues after this break.
Discover delicacy at Cafe Atu, your all-in-one destination. Whether it's the perfect cup of coffee or a satisfying meal, we got you covered. Indulge your cravings with our mouth-watering pilau, savoury katogo, crispy chips, and tender chicken. Explore a world of cocktails and fresh juices for a truly special treat. Planning an event? Choose Cafe Atu for top-notch outside catering services. Benefit from ample parking. Stay connected with Wi-Fi and catch your favorite matches on DSTV. Cafe Atu offers food deliveries in and around Kampala. Hosting a conference, our center accommodates up to 1,000 people. Need a boardroom for a party or corporate meeting? We've got just the spot for you. We offer a free venue for birthdays and baby showers, providing complimentary photography. For those aspiring to become professional baristas, our barista school awaits you. Visit us at Albany Center, Level 2 on Ginger Road. Cafe Atu, where every occasion becomes a memorable experience.
Uganda, your #1 leading education newspaper, is back, bigger and better. With articles to fully suit the educational triangle from the government, schools and parents all over the country, aiming at answering the ever left out questions, not forgetting revision questions and answers set by experienced teachers to prepare students for their finals. The Lana newspaper is supplied to over 12,068 schools all over the country with affordable advertising rates. We offer many more services which include uniform and sweater tailoring, all with an aim of easing work for the educationists. Contact us on 0754 777 029 or 0774 621 539. Email us on info@lananews.com or visit our website at www.lananews.com. You can also visit our offices at City Center Complex, Room J15, 4th floor, along Loom Street. The Lana, prioritizing education.
For staying with us, you're still watching the Daybreak with me, Dirisa Mwonge, and I'm still here with Mr. Kamuj Kasim Sheikh. He is Deputy RCC for Nakawa. Mr. RCC, there is a big facility in your area of jurisdiction.
Yes.
An area that, a place that, you know, harbors. Should I call them criminals? Okay, people who the state has said that, okay, you first
can say suspects and convicts.
Suspects and convicts, yes. You can stay away from the society for some time, and that is Luzira, the biggest prison in the land. There is this news about its transfer by a certain company, Tinta. In fact, I also came across the president's letter, where he was writing to the, you know, the authorities responsible to grant this, to execute this as soon as possible. According to the company, they're like, this is a place that is viable for business, you know, so they should consider, you know, taking that land. And that's a good deal they're offering, because I saw they're saying that they're going to do the transfer themselves. And also, they also construct, you know, the prison facility somewhere where the state is going to choose. Bring us to speed, you know, as regards this news.
Idris and viewers, this debate has been on the floor of Parliament. And the Minister of State, Internal Affairs, General David Muhoozi, gave a statement from the Ministry of Internal Affairs, because prisoners in Uganda fall under the Ministry of Internal Affairs. However, there are things we need to know from the historic perspective. Then from there, we ask ourselves a few questions of whether we need Luzira where it is today, and two, what could be the value for the transfer of Luzira. Number one, Luzira prison has been around for more than 100 years. And 100 years ago, Uganda's population was 3 million. That's why the holding capacity of Luzira was around 1,000 people. Around 1,000 suspects and convicts. And today, the population of Uganda, after 100 years, we are waiting for what will come out of the census, but tentatively, we are around 45 millions. And so the holding capacity of Luzira has now jumped from 1,000 to over 9,000 inmates, close to 9,000 inmates. So it means the holding capacity of Luzira vis-a-vis the population no longer matches. Number two, ask yourself why Luzira is where it is, or why Luzira was put where it was put in 1923 and Butabika. You see, these are people who should be out of the society for some time. When they stabilize, or when they give up, especially the suspects and the convicts, when they renew themselves, they are brought back to society. So it means that Luzira and Butabika must have been distant from the town. And from what I picked, he said that the town in 1923 could not go beyond Rugogo traffic lights. That's where Kampala was ending. So from Kampala, from Rugogo, then ShopRite, then you go to Moobs, you go to, that place was a village. It was, so Luzira prison was built in a village by that time. But today the population of Uganda, and for that matter Kampala and Nakawa, has expanded that the neighborhood of Luzira, which is Mutungo, has got the highest population in the parishes of Kampala. Meaning that if Luzira was put there because the place was a village,
far from the city center.
From the city center, so it has ceased to be a village. So Luzira must be extended to another place which is a village, so that you provide space for the growing population in terms of housing, in terms of other facilities like maybe hotels, industries which can create jobs for the population.
I don't think its initiators only looked at the distance, but also the strategy, how the place is strategically located.
So for me, I think strategic places are still there in Uganda, which could serve the same purpose as the Luzira of today is having. Now, if there is a place which has been identified, and you have got, you see, Luzira is not only Luzira in terms of, Luzira has got 5 facilities inside. It has got maximum prison. It has got Makshon Bay. Then it has, that is for the convicts. Then you have got a holding center for remandees. People who are going for remand who will be brought back to court and they are either given bail or they are convicted and sentenced. Then you have got women's wing. Then you have got a training facility for the prison warders and wardens. So that means the place has become squeezed for those 4 facilities, actually 5 facilities to survive. You need to expand to another area where you can have all those facilities together and does not inconvenience the population, but also provides space for more expansions. I was reading about prisons which are in urban centers. And the case study was in Chicago and Miami in USA. What they are doing today, because they don't have areas to shift to, because the whole of Chicago is a city, they are building storage cells, storage cells. But here in Uganda, we still have a chance where we can have an area that is out of the town, not very far, to expand. And of course, with now the improved transport network of Uganda in terms of road facilities, I think the proposed place of Buyikwe is not very, very far. That someone can be moved from Buyikwe, brought to any other closer court, and is given. Because I don't know the magic behind a convict or a suspect being brought to Buganda Road Court. What is the magic? Any other court can serve the role of Buganda Road Court as long as they're on the same level. So, for me, if the question should be, when Luzira has been transferred from where it is to where it is going, what shall be the value addition to the population of Uganda, but for that matter, Kampala, in terms of the facility which shall be established where Luzira has been? If it is a hotel, for example, being proposed, the question of the leadership should be, how many jobs is this hotel going to create or to provide? If it is providing 6,000 jobs, then there should be a condition that 80% of these jobs should go to our ordinary youth.
Let's talk about the bidder now. Whose idea was it? Is it the state that came up with this idea?
You see, for me, I would not want to discuss individuals. Why? Because who built that prison? It is the whites. They are no longer here. So the issue should not be who is constructing or who is bidding. The issue is, after bidding, what does the state benefit? What does the people of Uganda benefit from this establishment which is coming in a space where Luzira has been shifted from?
We need to be concerned, Mr. Rasisi, especially if we've had, certain cases like Lubowa Modern Hospital.
Yes.
Such a stalled project that has cost taxpayers their money. And now we have something that is as critical as the Luzira prison. A company comes and they offer themselves, they look here.
What makes Luzira more peculiar or more critical?
Oh, we are having a place that is, harboring suspects, convicts. Some of them, they are convicts. And so
you see, a convict can be sent to any prison in Uganda. So what is peculiar about Luzira? And do we need a prison in Chibuli? Do we need a prison, for example, in Makerere? No. And you see, Luzira is not different from Chibuli, from Makerere. They are all urban areas. So a convict can be, or a suspect can be sent to any prison in Uganda as long as he can access justice where he is.
Okay. So we are concerned about this company that is offering itself. Yes. One, it's a good thing that they're going to foot the cost. I don't know to what extent that is true. Is it true that they're going to foot all the bills?
They have said
so. Of shifting the inmates, of even constructing the other area. Yes. But I've seen some companies come like that and they don't live to their promise. They don't live up to their promises. And it ends up affecting all of us as a nation.
Yes, of course, you see, when you give birth to children, not all of them will be as perfect as you want. You are aware that even the children of Nuh, one of them refused to climb in the boat and said, Daddy, me, I'll climb on that tallest hill, and the hill will save me from the water. What happened was water swallowed him. Likewise, some companies could have had problems, could have had mischiefs in their arrangements. But it doesn't speak to all companies in Uganda that when they have entered into agreements or concessions with the state, they not do the needful. So we have to give benefits of doubt. And of course, for us, there's what we call qiyas ma'al fariqa, that comparing two things which are different. We are talking about Rubawa, bring it in the picture, but the conditions for Rubawa are different from the conditions of Luzira.
How different? Because I was reading the president's letter and I was just smiling.
You know how they're different?
Because the president at times, let me use the word excitement. He gets excited when some people come to him and offer to him certain deals. Even the Lubowa itself, the Lubowa was excited about it. In fact, he's the one who's been pushing Parliament, grant money to Pineti, the Pineti in quotes, you know. And so in this letter, he was asking the concerned ministry to act swiftly, do this ASAP. That's the president. And we know that previously he has been misled. Himself has come out to admit that he has been misled. So in this case, that's why we are concerned. How effective is this company going to be? Are they going to reach somewhere in the middle and they're like, okay, because of conditions A, B, C, D, we're overwhelmed and we can't continue the project?
You see, Idris and the viewers, the president of Uganda is never excited. But the president wishes well for Uganda. You see, there is no way where someone comes with the proposal of having a hospital which will save Ugandans from traveling to India, to UK, USA exorbitantly for operations which can be done in the country, and you say you cannot allow them to operate. So the president has got a goodwill for the country, but without fear of contradictions, he is sometimes let down by technocrats. Because it's not the deal of the president now to construct Lubowa. He gave his consent, money was given out, but the technocrats are the ones doing the work. So the president is not excited, but he wishes good for Uganda. Because the president believes in socio-economic transformation. We can't transform socially and economically unless you have got people who have got good health, that's number one, and unless you have got people who have got what they are doing to give them something in the pocket for their eating and survival. Now, for the Lubowa, it could improve the social status of Ugandans in terms of their health. Now, for the Luzira, they're talking about a hotel which shall give jobs over 6,000 to Ugandans. So the president is saying, why would we let these jobs not come here and go away? And yet you have got a prison which can be shifted, and we manage it from there. So the president has got passion.
And you're not spending a penny on it.
A penny. That's why the president has got passion for Uganda, but sometimes it's let down by technocrats. But moving forward,
yes,
moving forward,
as you wind up,
is my major concern about the whole issue of Luzira is let Parliament really look at, was Luzira on a government land in terms of a lease? Is the lease of Luzira still subsisting? If it was a 99-year lease, then that lease must have been given, for example, in 1922. Then it means it expired in 2021. So has it been renewed? If it has not been renewed, why? Should it be renewed? Are there dividends in renewing it and giving it back to government or to Luzira? Prisons, Ministry of Internal Affairs, that's number one. Number two, what is the benefit in terms of transferring the prison? Could it be expanded to accommodate more? Could it be modernized? But also, the facility being put there as Luzira goes away, how many will it employ? What is the value addition in terms of the economic transformation of the area? What is the value addition in terms of corporate social responsibility of that facility in the area? Because there are situations whereby you have got a factory, but when the factory is coming, it constructs a school. It tarmacs the roads. It extends electricity. So we should be looking at the transfer of Luzira vis-a-vis the investment being brought on in terms of the economic value being added in the area. Okay. When the economic value being added in the area is quite bigger, is quite enormous, then Luzira should go.
So what's the status of now this project? Is it in the pipeline? Is it still just an idea that you're still
in my own
discussing?
In my own view, it is Parliament discussing, but from the position of the state, as it was read by the Minister of State Internal Affairs, they are willing to give up Luzira because they all envision the stand of the president of socio-economic transformation. Let's have people, let's have investors invest here their money. Okay. When their time comes to go, they want to go with the buildings. They want to go with the investment. They will leave them here and go. People who constructed Luzira were whites. They left after independence, and Luzira remained for us. So why would we stop someone from investing his money? Yet after his time, he doesn't demolish the building. He just packs his things and gets out.
Thank you so much, Mr. RCC. Thank you so much for getting time to be with us here. Thank you
for hosting me too.
It's a pleasure.
It's been a while, but thank you so much.
Indeed.
Yes.
Thank you so much as well, our dear viewers who've been with us since 7:30 till this time round. I'm always here Monday to Friday. By God's grace, and inshallah tomorrow I'll be here. So from me and the team now, we wish you nothing but a very good day. May the good Lord continue protecting you. Until we meet again, it's a goodbye for now. See you then.